Good morning, everyone. Hopefully you can hear me well. If not, just let me know. But good morning again, and super happy to be here. My name is Sorin Peste. I'm a solution architect with Microsoft, and for the past 15 years or so, I've been working with customers trying to implement AI in their business, and partners like Druid trying to make this AI enhance their solutions. And today I'm going to give you a short 20-minute rundown on the current state of AI, of generative AI. And it is generative AI because this is basically the hot topic in the AI space at the moment, isn't it? And even though it may seem like it's a new topic, the truth is that it has been available for a while now for tinkerers, for geeks, for technical people. I think GPT-2 was launched somewhere in 2019. That was the first kind of somewhat useful version of generative models for text. But it has really been pushed into the spotlight in the past year with the launch of ChatGPT. I guess it was pretty much a year now, almost a year now. But that application has burst into the scene and it has caught on like wildfire. It is the fastest consumer application to get to 100 million users, and it took only 2 months to get to that number, whereas something like Facebook took 5 years, and even TikTok took 9 months or 10 months to get the same numbers. So it was wildly successful, and a lot of people wanted to experiment and see what they can do with that technology. And it was obviously, you've seen all the news articles, you've probably played with ChatGPT yourself. And even the people who put these models like GPT-4, the latest model that's available in ChatGPT, to the test, they found out that it was actually able to solve all sorts of problems that were across a wide range of subject topics. And it was actually able to, for example, pass the bar exam or consistently score in the upper 80s, lower 90s percentiles for various SATs. And it was also able to summarize documents, rewrite certain paragraphs, even generate things like poetry. So it was a tool that was really useful, and it was really easy to use if you used it right. And it basically introduced people to this kind of concept of AI that can generate things itself and not just spew a pre-configured answer from some sort of a database. But the other thing is that because this technology was adopted so quickly and was available so quickly, a lot of people essentially built their understanding as to what generative AI can or cannot do based on their interaction with ChatGPT. Some more, curious people, like technical people, may have played with other models, they may have tried different things. But a lot of people basically opened ChatGPT, tried a few things. Maybe they liked it, maybe they didn't. But that was essentially the base for them forming an opinion as to, hey, this is something that you can use for this topic, but for not for this scenario, for instance. And inevitably, along with the praise, also came the criticism. I'm sure you've all heard it. Maybe you've experienced it yourself. I actually asked ChatGPT a question, and it provided an answer that was kind of sounded plausible at first. But if you read it thoroughly, you can see that maybe there are some inconsistencies there. There may be some facts that were just made up on the spot, and maybe even ChatGPT even provided a helpful link as a reference to some web page or some paper. Presumably supporting its answer, but if you click that link, you just found out that it was just a generated link that led nowhere. So this is the well-known, well-understood now hallucination problem, where this generative AI can sometimes generate content that is incorrect. Or maybe you asked ChatGPT another question and it provided an answer that was out of date because it could have told you that its knowledge only goes so far up in time, and it was not actually able to provide up-to-date information that would have been more useful. And then on top of all those things, we also had the very valid concerns about data privacy. Basically, if I'm taking my private data and pasting it into ChatGPT, then will OpenAI get a hold of that data and use that data to further train its models and essentially make that data part of the public publicly available knowledge of those models. So maybe in some future version of ChatGPT, it will actually use my data to answer questions from other users. So all of these are valid questions. And if you were thinking about, okay, how can I actually adopt this technology, certainly if you're trying to think about ways to adopt this technology in business scenarios, this is enough to make you think twice about adopting such a technology. But the point is that a lot of people basically just looked at ChatGPT and figured, okay, this is probably the best, the state of the art. So if ChatGPT goes like this, then I guess those are where the limits of the technology lies, which is not the case. And I'm not going to go into the entire history of OpenAI and Microsoft in the next 15 minutes, but the short version of this is that OpenAI is basically using the Microsoft Cloud to do the research, to train these models, to improve them, to test them, to continuously update them with knowledge and capabilities. They also use our Microsoft Cloud Microsoft Azure Cloud to serve their own first-party services, products, like, for example, ChatGPT, which is hosted on the Microsoft Cloud. And in turn, Microsoft can then take these models like GPT-4 and offer them to businesses in a secure, private, and compliant manner. So then you can then cover the scenarios that are relevant to your business, and only the scenarios that are relevant to your business, with your own data that remains yours, data that is not shared with OpenAI and is not used to improve the OpenAI models. It is not shared within Microsoft to improve other Microsoft products. Basically, the data is only used, is run through the model to provide you with the answer that you're looking for, and that's it. And the data is then protected by compliance and security controls that are on your side, essentially. So we don't we don't use the data, we don't share with OpenAI, we don't use it to improve our products. You can use it with peace of mind that the data is only used by you and only available to improve the models that you use in your own enterprise. One example of such productization, so for example, GitHub Copilot, which was launched earlier this year, and I think it was the first real service that was part of the GitHub family, of the Copilot family, which is this AI pair programmer that can help developers write better code, write faster code, generate code automatically, generate documentation, explain code, find bugs, automatically create tests for the code. So it is this kind of productivity enhancer for developers that can help them develop codes faster and eliminate some of the tedious aspects of writing code. So the tediousness exists in all domains, and obviously it exists in software development as well. And this has been very well received by the developer community. It's actually quite capable, and you can use this today from GitHub. The Copilot family has since grown. Since March, when we announced GitHub Copilot, and Microsoft has this roadmap to implement these intelligent generative AI-powered assistants throughout the Microsoft product suite. So we have now Microsoft 365 Copilot, for instance, which brings these copilots, these generative copilots into applications like Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook, and Teams, for instance. We have integration with Dynamics to help you make sense of your customer base. Power Platform, now if you want to generate applications, you'll very, very soon just be able to talk to an agent, and they will basically generate an application based on your Word-based instructions. Security, this will help you make sense of your security or telemetry data, again, in a conversational manner. And GitHub, which I've already mentioned. So this will be like first-party products that Microsoft offers. Some of them are available today, some of them are upcoming. But you also have, okay, let's also do a quick example. So this is a glimpse of what Copilot would look like in a tool like Outlook. And you will be able to, for instance, to go through an email thread, like a huge email thread with like 20 replies and so on, and make you a quick summary of what was discussed and what was proposed, so you don't have to read the entire thread. It would be able to help you draft a reply, where you can just give it like the initial pointers and maybe also make references to other documents, like maybe you want to include some information from an Excel or from a Word document in your reply. It will basically just draft a proposal of a reply for you, And then you have the options to adjust that, maybe make the reply shorter, make your tone a bit more neutral or a bit more professional. And then you have a productivity enhancer that can help you go about your day and do your work a lot faster. So that's just one example of Copilot in Outlook. But the Azure Open AI service itself, which is stands at the base of all of this, is also available to be used and integrated in your own solutions in a secure, compliant, and a private manner, like I mentioned. So this is Azure Open AI service, which Livio has also mentioned briefly in the beginning. These are basically the GPT models available to be integrated in your own solutions and in partner solutions. And there are quite a few capabilities that we have been working with customers throughout the year to implementing generative AI in their own business. And these are the main areas that we see as use cases for this. Content generation is the big one. And there's a lot of call center analytics throughout this kind of spectrum of use cases, because that's where a lot of customer interaction happens through multiple channels, email, chat, voice, and so on. So all of this can be brought down to text, and then you can do all sorts of things with the information there, including automatically generating responses to customer inquiries, for instance, or do summarization of the entire conversation log that you had with that customer. There's this kind of mantra in customer support that the customer should only tell their story once. So it'd be really useful the next time they call or write an email that you have a summarized history of all their interactions, so you know exactly what the customer has been experiencing in the past and what is their current situation. There's a lot of subject matter expert document analysis. So there's a lot of summarization, a lot of people who are doing financial analysis or ESG analysis for investing, and even legal analysis. A lot of the people in the legal space that want to very quickly understand which of the body of 1,000 documents that are potentially relevant to a particular problem are actually containing useful information. And they can get this information in natural language by just asking for what they need. There's also the area around code generation. I've already talked about GitHub Copilot, but a lot of developers use code generation to convert natural language into code or vice versa. You can use this natural language to also query your data. You can use natural language to document your code, to test your code automatically, to find bugs in your code. It's really, really powerful and a productivity enhancer for developers. Then there is the kind of broad area of semantic search. Essentially, you can connect these chatbots to your own data. You can, instead of asking generic information from ChatGPT based on what it has been trained to up to 2022 or whatever, you can connect it to your own knowledge base of internal procedures, internal documents, a wiki, knowledge base, anything that you have, your databases, any kind of source of information that you have, and then you can just tell those models to reply using information from that space. And it's really useful for information discovery, for answering customer questions, for answering internal user questions, and for knowledge mining as well. So connecting these models to your data, to your own data, is really where the value lies. It also enables true conversational AI. And it actually allows, if you put the GPT models in charge of the customer conversation flow, it can enable this kind of non-linear conversation flows where it's able to predict what the user actually wants to achieve. It's really able to understand the meaning of what the user actually needs to do from very scarce information and from making a lot of inferences about the past context and the past conversation that they had. It's able to do context shift very, very accurately. So if the customer all of a sudden has some sort of a new request or some additional request that they want to add on, they can just type it in, and the model is actually able to pick that up and insert it into the entire business flow. So it's a really, really powerful tool to enable true conversational AI, and hopefully you'll see more of that during the sessions today. Like I said, the ability to add and point these models to your own data is really, really powerful, because then you can enable scenarios that make use of that data and not just the public data that ChatGPT was trained with. So you can just add your data sources, and then you can enable scenarios like you see in the right there, where you may have, like, for example, an intelligent agent that sits by the side of your customer support agent, your human customer support agent, and they can pick up the question that was asked by the user, by the customer, and then you can actually just query your knowledge base, query your internal documents, query your internal past chat logs from all the other support calls that you had, and be able to provide a specific answer. Like, for example, you can actually solve this issue by doing these specific steps, and you can choose to send that to the customer, maybe you change it a little bit. And then you can also ask follow-up questions, like how much do we actually charge for that particular thing. So essentially, this will be like your expert or your say your escalation engineer available nonstop 24/7, which is a really good productivity boost as well. And you can do this in a secure way. Your data is stored security in your Azure subscription. It is not shared with anyone else, including other teams in Microsoft or OpenAI itself. There's also a good way to keep the AI grounded. So you will typically, when you develop these kind of scenarios, you will typically want these AIs to only limit their answers to that specific topic. So if there's a specific question that they want that is from that business domain or from that specific area that you want them to answer to, you can provide that answer. You can provide references, and these references will not be hallucinations because they will actually be the actual documents from your knowledge base that the answer was compiled from. So no more hallucinations in that regard, because the information is actually queried essentially live before the answer is compiled to the user. And this is actually a good difference between a public-facing application like ChatGPT, which is designed to answer all sorts of potential scenarios, hundreds of potential scenarios, and the ways to answer questions, to something very specific that you are trying to solve in your own workflow, in your own business workflow. And you can also, in the same vein of keeping the AI grounded, is you can actually tell it to stay on topic. So if the question is outside the realm of what you've designed it to work for, you can just politely refuse and say, I can actually not provide this information to you. So sorry about that. You'll have to ask someone else, or you'll have to ask me a question about the actual domain that I'm working with. And this can be like mildly or completely different from the actual topic that you've trained it on. So if there's a question completely unrelated to the topic, they will not try to make up an answer. It will actually tell you that either it doesn't know the answer, or that the answer is not within the realm of its ability to answer. So the things that are generally perceived as negative with an application like ChatGPT can be mitigated quite successfully if you use Azure OpenAI and configure these agents correctly. But the thing is, configuring these agents correctly is one step of the process. There are two ways to go about it, especially if you've never tried to adopt generative AI in your business. You could certainly make a go of trying to go at it alone and learn all the best practices, learn what to do, what not to do, and how to configure these things in a secure way, and how to set them up so it actually does what you want and doesn't do the things that you don't want it to do. But for most customers, at least from my experience, the better approach is to partner with a company like Druid, who has already essentially done all the legwork of integrating such technologies into a business solution. Because while the models have been researched by OpenAI and have been offered as a service by Microsoft, they're essentially just a service. You still need some sort of application or business solution to give it legs, to make it real into your own products. So Druid AI would be the perfect partner for that. We've certainly worked with them. Personally, I've worked with them in quite a few customer accounts. Hopefully, some of them will be presented as well later in the conference. But this will be, I think, your fastest path to success, especially if you've never worked with generative AI before in a business setting. Okay. That's everything that I had for today. Hopefully, I've kind of given you a glimpse as to what the present is, because this is no longer the future. This is just the present. And I think that Druid will do a great job of showing you exactly how you can apply this technology to solve business issues in your company. Thank you very much for your attention. I wish you an amazing day going forward.